BOM stands for Back on the Market in Real Estate and is a common abbreviation used by real estate agents. As the name suggests, a listing that's back on the market simply means that it's available again after a prior offer or contract fell through. Why would a seller put a house back on the market? If the seller only had an accepted offer, then the buyer could have backed out for any number of reasons during the due diligence period. Perhaps the buyer's attorney found something sketchy about the building while reviewing the board meeting minutes, the annual building financial statements, or the condo or co-op's original offering plan. If the listing was in contract, the deal could have fallen through if a contract contingency was met. For example, perhaps the buyer had a mortgage contingency in the contract and was not able to get a commitment letter from a bank within the time limit and decided to back out. Or perhaps the appraisal came in low and the buyer was protected by an appraisal contingency clause in the contract and decided to back out. Can a listing be back on market through no fault of the seller? Yes, just because a listing is back on the market doesn't mean that there's something wrong with the property. Sometimes a buyer will back out of a deal that's in contract simply because the co-op board rejected them, or perhaps the buyer wasn't able to get a loan, or couldn't close with the loan because the buyer lost their job at the last minute. What to watch out for in back-on-the-market homes? As a buyer, you should always be wary about why a home may be back on the market, especially if the price seems too good to be true. Did the last buyer find something out about the property during the due diligence period that made the purchase untenable? Leverage your buyer's agent to reach out to the listing agent for the inside scoop on what happened with the last deal. Many listing agents will be very upfront and honest about what happened. For example, if the buyer was simply rejected by the co-op board. Steps to putting a house back on market. If your home is back on the market because an accepted offer fell through, then very likely there's no need to change your listing status. That's because many MLS systems only have 3 primary listing statuses: active, in contract, and sold. If for some reason your MLS does have a pending, offer in, or accepted offer listing status, then make sure your listing agent changes that back to active. If your deal was in contract and the buyer still fell through, then you need to ask your listing agent to change the listing status from in contract to active. This will typically trigger a notification on many people's automatic search alerts. In either of these scenarios, it can also be helpful if your listing agent added to the beginning of the listing description, perhaps in all capital letters, "back on the market," just so people know why it still hasn't sold yet. Want to learn how you can save $20,000 or more on closing costs by working with one of our experienced partner brokers? Sign up for a Hauseit buyer closing credit at www.hauseit.com today.